Women share to be bold and take risks. The top women say what they feel and mean what they say. Yeah. The top believe in your power, so much power. Yeah. The top where women share, women share.
Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another episode of Vault Talks Women Share. I am here with the lovely ladies of Vault Talks, Miss Tanisha Ramsey Lane and Lady Liz. How y'all doing?
Great.
Awesome, girl.
Good.
Can't say we waking up.
Just waking up.
Right. This new time, we're still adjusting, but it's all good. So we are talking about new things. We've been talking about new things all month. And today we are talking about new school. Now I know, Liz, you don't have to deal with that yet. But Tanisha, how have you been adjusting with the newness of the school thing?
I'm just trying to get prepared. My kids haven't started yet, but next week they will start. But I did get their laptops together, so woohoo! They got their material.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. The whole laptop thing, I notice is like a shortage of laptops now. Like everybody has to buy their kids laptops and Chromebooks and that type of thing. I just picked mine up today, so I'm glad I got mine in. But this new school thing is something, but I'm gonna wait to talk about that when we bring our guest on later. But right now, we are going to move on to our Quiet is Quote Time segment. All right, so today's quote is, "Learning starts at home. What are we teaching?"
You always come through with some great quotes, girl.
Yeah.
So on point.
And I was having a conversation with someone about this as we were talking about, the new school and how school used to be back in the day and how it's totally different now. And just realizing, like, with the behaviors of the kids or whatever, like it starts at home. Like, we put a lot of pressure on the teachers to do a whole lot, but we have to reinforce the education. And even before they make it to school, we've already taught them things, the way to be, the way to act, and that type of thing. So it's just like we have to be mindful of what goes on in the household before we send them out. A friend of mine tagged me in a video, a lot of people doing virtual, and this class, I don't know where it was, but they were on a Zoom call, and this kid was just acting out. I mean, just cutting up, cussing and everything. So I'm just like, that shows you what they're learning at home. The class clown still exists, even on virtual, even on the online school. I have to have that one, you know what I mean? But just being mindful of what we're showing our kids, and what we teach them, it shows in what they do. So which one of you ladies want to take the quote and give your thoughts?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first today. What I'm getting at the quote today for me is just a confirmation reminder that I'm on the right track. I feel like you should be teaching your kids the basics, which meaning etiquette skills, basic etiquette skills, and manners. That's the first thing. The second thing is what I love about it when I went to the school yesterday. They're bringing back prayer in the school. Thank you.
Ooh, wow.
It's back in Miami. So they're doing devotion, they're doing prayer, then they do the pledge of allegiance, which I think is great because they wasn't doing prayer. They're just saying a pledge of allegiance, and that was it. It was done with it. But it's needed in what we're going through right now in a pandemic crisis we're dealing with. You have to bring it back to the basics. We have to continue to show our kids that the basis is the Lord's Prayer, and I'm loving it because I thought I was seeing that like they're gonna be saying the Lord's Prayer. I said, oh, thank you. I taught my kids this long time ago. Okay, I'm on track. I ain't on track because some kids don't know the Lord's Prayer, and that has a lot to do with how you bring your child up. How are you bringing your child up? Are you showing them to be respectful? And then sometimes we can't blame the parents all the time because they act one way around their parents and another way in the streets because they want to be the known person.
Cool.
Or I popular kid. They don't act like that at home, but when you bring the mama around and she get that look, you already know what time it is. Okay, he don't act like that at home. She don't cut up at home like that. Just go get the mama. The mama took that nose up, you know what time it is. It's just the look. We all know how the look was with our grandparents. So my grandma, she raised me as well. My mom, she just get this look like, okay, play me. You know to tighten up. Okay, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. But I seen the video as well, and I was like, oh my God, I had to look again. Like, did I really just see that? And it's 2 parts to it. I'm like, it make you wonder, like, are these kids really gonna be outbursts like this, acting like this online, or they're really gonna be focused? But we have to do our part as well because we have to get them to focus too. We gotta stay on them. They gotta understand. Okay, it's time for the phone. Got to put the phone down. When it's school, focus on school, doing your classwork, learning your lesson. And I already told my kids after that, y'all gonna get a 30-minute break, and then we're gonna come back and you're gonna do your homework because I don't have all day. Especially when you're a mompreneur and you working from home. Now I gotta schedule everything towards the middle to the end of my day because my kids are school from 8:15 to 2:30. So I gotta adapt what I got going on because I have to make sure that I'm focused. I got 4 kids I'm dealing with. So I gotta put a table in the living room and make them comfortable. So like we in a setting, like a class setting for real. And I mean, for me, I've been teaching my kids, but it's just other stuff. I got more work to do, more on my plate. And I'm fine with that. When it comes to your kids' education, I don't care what it takes to get it done, get it done.
Right.
You got to be done. Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm not in there just yet, but I remember from when I was growing up and how, how in tune my mom was when she actually came into the school. So it's not just at home, it's everything around, everything that you do. How much is she are they participating in your day-to-day kind of setting? So do they come to the school on pop-ups? Because I used to get those pop-ups. Okay, so I knew not to act up. I used to go to a Catholic school going back then, but not to say that Catholic schools are like, oh, holier than thou, because y'all know what I'm going on that end. But it was, I realized that, I like that retrospect of being able to go into the schools and let the teachers see see their face and know that I am actively participating in my child's education. It's not just dependent on my child. I'm not just putting all that pressure on them because I know a lot of kids who that's all they had. It was them, or me. And I have so much I have something to withhold. I have a level, that I have to get up to. And it was constantly like pressure. That's the word I was looking for. So much pressure that they have to deal with by themselves and then go home and do all these other things, because a strict parent can also be your child may not always show, respect or mannerisms or the etiquette, like Tanisha was saying. They may not always do that. They act that one way at home and then turn around because they want to let loose. So I think there's a fine balance between it all. And finding that balance within it is really going to allow the kid to say, okay, well, I know when and where I can, let go or have fun. Being in the classroom setting at that specific time is not the time, unless the teacher is, encouraging that. Like, okay, guys, let's do this. Or it's a drama class, or it's, a fun period, or what is it, like a study period. Even then, I feel like there's time for play and there's time for just get to work. And as long as a child knows that, and that's starting at home, because if it's just work, yeah, of course, the baby's going to go back, the child, age stemming from age, what is that, first grade up, because then they kind of get to know, or was it, for me, it felt like it was at 4th grade and up. That's when I started to take things a little bit more serious. I understood there's a difference, and really getting into tune and everything. So it really does. It's home, but then what are you doing outside of home? How are you showing your kids how to behave as you're going, as you're out and about, or when you're in a school settings? Are you going to their schools? Are you, showing up? And the surprise pop-ups, I think, do work, because then your kid never knows when you're gonna pop up. It's kind of embarrassing, but at the end of the day, you're always going to be on your P's and Q's. At least I was kind of on my P's and Q's, and tried not to get in trouble as much as I knew that I possibly could. So yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of go about it, and really understand that every child, Tanisha, you got 4. So every child is different. Every child learns differently. Not all are going to learn the same. And, I really give it up to these teachers who can wear so many hats and be able to, bring them all in and engage them all at the same time, because I'm right now, patience.
Yeah, patience, that's a special skill.
Yeah.
I envy you with patience. Send some.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Not even one.
All right. So let's kind of switch gears here. And we are going to kind of let our new viewers know what Vault Talks Women Share is. So Vault Talks Women Share is a platform full of empowerment. It is a place where women can come together and learn more and share more about matters which pertain to their world. It is a platform where women will be able to share about fashion, love, relationship, current events, business, entrepreneurship, support, and of course, ways to be empowered as women. And to our regular viewers, thank you. We appreciate you so much for hanging in there and sticking with us, especially with this new time, shift that we're doing. We just want to let you know that we appreciate you. Okay, so we have our guest coming up next, which I am so excited about, Miss Nyesha Sevier. How are you, ma'am?
Good. How you doing? And good job with the name. I heard you reading it slowly. How's everybody doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. Very good. Nice to see you guys.
How do you say your last name?
It's Sevier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So how's everything going with you?
Everything's going good. So the most recent thing in my life is, as I was listening to you guys, talk about teachers and, how much patience you have to have, and the level of expertise that goes into, providing instruction for a variety of kids with a variety of needs. I taught for 12 years, and I decided this year that I would resign to stay at home with my 2-year-old son. I made that decision for many reasons, but the top reason was because I wanted to keep him safe, and I knew that, I could be his best teacher, better than anyone else. And so it was a hard decision to make, because I love my job. And so that was the toughest part of it, is because I do enjoy what I do. And so having to put that, dream in a box to be able to protect my son and provide the best life for him was that was a challenge for me. But what I've decided to do is I've been spending these months working on a blog to be able to support moms, especially moms that have chosen to take on this, huge challenge of doing virtual learning at home, because it is hard. It's very hard, and it's very different from teaching kids in a classroom. I heard you talking about, some of the behavioral challenges and how different it is when kids are at home, right? They're a lot more relaxed and comfortable and wild and free. And so moms have a lot on their plates right now. And I have to be honest with you guys, most of what I'm hearing is that some of that, if not most of it, is coming from the expectations that schools and districts are putting on to children. So that is, that's one of the things that worries me the most, is because I want for parents to have an understanding of what is developmentally appropriate. And I want them to, as you said, communicate with the schools and communicate with the districts, because what I'm noticing is that there will be no change unless parents speak up. Parents have to make sure that their voice is heard. They have to make sure that if it's not working in their household, that the district knows that, and not just the teacher, because a lot of times a teacher is a sounding board, but no, we don't have a lot of power. So we kind of seen that, with everything that's going on. They're not listening to teachers. They just want us to do the work. So it's really, really important for parents to put their foot down. If it feels like it's too much, let them know it's too much. Let them know what's going on in the household. One of the things that I was recently talking about and putting out on social media is, it's not healthy for kids to be in front of a screen all day, in addition to the natural screen time that they're going to have at home with watching movies with their family and on their iPad. And now they have all of their learning taking place, if not most, virtually. And nobody's even talking about this. Nobody's talking about, all the different, all the different effects that a large amount of screen time has on children. And so I was kind of like talking to different teacher friends and trying to get an understanding of, what the requirements are across different states, and they're totally different. They're totally different from state to state. So I'm hearing that some states are requiring hours and hours of virtual learning on the computer, with breaks, of course, while other districts are not requiring it. They're saying that you can or cannot, as long as you're doing your assignments, you're submitting them for grade, you don't necessarily have to be on your virtual Zoom for hours. But that's not the same, I'm hearing, for other districts. Some districts are timing the kids and making sure that they're on there and they're getting their time in. And it's unfortunate. And, I think sometimes parents don't realize that they do have power. They do have power, but they have to show up in the building. And a lot of times, I think what's happening is we're just carrying on,
Trying to find a new norm against it all, because not everybody is used to like really participating and getting really active into their schools, whether it be the child itself or the parents just really taking part in that. And I'm from Chicago, so a part of my heart is like kind of cringing as you speak, because I can think of the Chicago schools on the south side and the west side, and pretty much everywhere, where they're not just they weren't getting the support then. What makes me think that they're going to get the support now? So that's really a big issue. That's really something major. For those who don't know where to go, like, where would you say they need to be speaking to, or who do they need to be reaching out, if not just the teacher?
They need to be attending board meetings. They have board meetings regularly at school districts, and a lot of times they're are pretty empty. There aren't a lot of people who are attending these meetings. And then, something to consider too is the superintendent, has an email address and phone number and has an open door policy just like everyone else. But I think that sometimes there's an intimidation factor, and, fear sets in, and fear can cause people and parents not to want to take that avenue. But that's really what needs to happen, because is what's going to create the most change and, impact for just better virtual learning expectations for our kids.
Yeah, I think most parents are not even aware that they have that power to address the district or the superintendent with their issues. So we kind of rely on the teachers and even the principals. It's kind of like that chain of command that we go through, because these are the people that we're used to seeing, every
Right.
day. You guys are here with my kids. But sometimes it's just lack of knowledge and not even knowing who to and where to go with your concerns. There are a lot of holes in the programs as they're kind of cranking them out, and we're reaching out to the teachers and they don't know. They let us know that we don't know. You know what I mean? We're
Right.
just kind of winging it. We're learning it as we go, and it's frustrating for us. So I know it has to be frustrating for them, to have to kind of teach their whole class on a computer. Um, we've had so many technical issues. We've had to learn how to deal with those and learn who to reach out to. This week school started for my son, so I had to kind of figure it out myself, because like you said, we go first to the teachers, and it wasn't, I appreciate them, the secretaries and everything, but I did not get what I needed,
Right.
right then, until I utilized the resource which they did put out, and got to, the people in the technical department to fix the issue. But it's just like, it's more so of, not knowing when to do, the scheduled class work, or how do you want some. It's like, it's a lot of confusion right now, and it's stressful for parents to have to, be there like with their kids. Like, it's like we are the teachers as well as the teachers, even though they are on the computers. We spend a majority of our time right there, making sure that they're, on the computer, they're behaving, they're listening, they're learning. If they don't understand anything, we have to be that stand-in for them. So like Tanisha was saying earlier, they're on from 8 to like 2:30. We have to be there that whole time. This is something that parents have to adjust to too.
All right.
So, as we're stressed out trying to figure out things, it puts stress on the kids as well. So this is technically not the best learning environment for them. But what advice would you give to parents as far as like, kind of being patient? I know we talked about that word. Like, patience is key. Like,
Uh-huh.
patience and prayer is what's needed throughout this whole
Yeah.
process, especially for me. But what advice would you give to parents to kind of, help them um, get through these beginning times?
Yeah. Um, make it fun, because if you can't change the expectations that are set, the requirements that are there, then make it as enjoyable for yourself and your child as much as possible. Whether that be, unexpected acts of kindness that you do for your kid, throughout the day, throughout those breaks before the virtual learning starts, their favorite snack, or their favorite game that they like to play with you. If they really love a video game, maybe they get some time with that before, early in the morning before they start. But you have to find a way to engage them. And that's really hard to do with virtual learning. It is. And it's hard for a teacher to do through a computer. It's extremely difficult. I mean, there are teachers who are really giving their best and trying to make it as fun as possible. But I think that what is needed is comfort. So comfort and fun. So what I've been telling parents is create a space for them at home if you can do that. A personal space. I know that when you have multiple children, that can be hard. When you have older kids, it becomes even harder. But I do know that older kids like their space, right? So if you can create a space that they can call their own, make it so special with their favorite colors or things that they like, and what makes them smile, it's going to make a difference, right? It's the same for us. If we are going to be in our office in our cubicle for hours, we're going to deck that cubicle out, right? We're going to have pictures of our families. We're going to have our favorite colors up, maybe a little pillow in our chair, whatever the case may be. But we're going to make it conducive to our comfort, right? We're going to try to, make it helpful for ourselves to be there for that, extended amount of time. So I've just been encouraging, parents to really try to put themselves in their children's shoes at this time and comfort them and kind of meet them where they are, and also show grace, you know, watch the way you're talking to them, because it's so easy to get frustrated and then you just lose your words, right? They just come spilling out. And if you have to take them back, apologize and take them back and say, hey, let me try that again. This is what I want to say and how I want to say it, right? because they're really needing so much encouragement right now, especially not having their friends with them, not having the support system of, their teachers. This is going to be really, really difficult for them. And so if they're not feeling that positivity, that comfort, that fun somewhere in the mix, then that's when you're going to get the behavior challenges. It's the same in the classroom, actually. In the classroom, same thing. If they're not comfortable, if they're, not having fun, and if they don't feel connected to you, you're going to have a behavior issue, right? And so, really, like, hey, if you can, as much as possible, make it comfortable, make it fun. Ask them, what would make it fun for them, because kids love to tell you what they want, right? So
Right.
give them some choice in the matter. Because think about this, guys. They have not had much choice in anything, right? They
Right.
haven't had any choice. So give them some choice, and let them feel heard, and that you are listening to what they need and what they want as well. And that doesn't mean they're going to get it all, but even if you're able to give them a little bit of it, it'll make them want to work for you and for themselves.
Right.
Right.
That's good.
That's
I
I
good.
was
know
really,
it's. Oh, go,
we all said at the same time. I was really worried about my son, the oldest one. So you just gave me a tip. I think I do need to isolate him by himself, by he's in 8th grade, because his hormones is rolling right now. Like he get frustrated sometimes real quick, and I'm like, he's worried about, okay, mom, the math thing. I like math, but I'm doing algebra too, and what if I don't understand? I'm gonna need a tutor. He's already freaking out, and I'm like, listen, we're gonna pray about it. We're gonna calm down. Whatever you don't know, we'll get it done. We'll figure it out. Mommy's good in certain part of math, so algebra too. I didn't take geometry, so I'm like, listen, I can only go as far as I can go because I've been out of school for a long time. But we will find the answer. And if it comes to a point I have to do virtual tutoring, I'm willing to go the extra mile so that he can get it, because he's going to high school after this. This is the last year for him for middle school, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna freak out, mom, because this is my last year for middle school. I supposed to get good grades, so he already on like the college thing. Like, mom, I gotta have good grades. And I'm like, okay, I need you to woosah right now and just calm down. Well, when we get to that point, we'll work it out. And he was like, okay. But my daughter, her extension span is small. She's for one, she's too smart for herself. If you born, she like, okay, this ain't gonna work. So I'm like, now how I'm gonna deal with this? Since you just gave me a tip, I'm like, okay, that's the one I'm really worried about. Like, how I'm gonna deal with my 9-year-old that's going on 24, because she's too smart for herself. And if the teacher is born, she's gonna be like, okay, I can't do this. And I know on virtual, you don't want your child to be, not say she being disrespectful, but her attention span is so small. She's gonna be like, I can see the faces on her, like looking at me back and forth like this, like, okay, mom, this ain't gonna work. So I'm like, it's gonna be a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
Like, give your teacher a chance. Like, just give them a chance. You already paranoid, and you're not even giving them a chance.
Yeah.
it takes a
Yeah.
lot of getting used to for
Yeah.
the kids. Like I know my son, he hasn't turned his camera on all week because he's shy. He don't want to be on.
Yeah.
And they encourage them and kind of pressure them in a sense, because they say, okay, it's a participation grade, you're being graded on this, you have to be on there. But you have those kids who are not used to this, they're just not.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he prefers to be in the classroom and be around his friends, even though these are kids he's been going to school with. He's just not comfortable being on camera. So that's another thing that we have to deal with kids with fear or being shy of just like interacting online, which affects their education as well, because the whole time they're thinking like, oh, I might get in trouble, I don't want to turn my camera on, that type of thing. It's a lot going on with this whole experience, and it's, especially as far as like lunch, we've been trying to get a routine as far as to keep it as close to the school schedule as possible, what they're used to. But they and our district has kind of worked with us as far as like delivering lunches to the kids, or allowing parents to come pick up breakfast. But that's another component. Like our kids were getting free meals throughout the day. We didn't have to worry about,
Right.
cooking breakfast, lunch, that type of thing. So as far as parents, we're now, the lunch ladies, we're the teachers, we're the PE coaches. We have to do everything now on top of, if we are still working, going to work and all the other things that we have going on. So, it's been a big adjustment, especially I know for me this week, trying to navigate through everything and get everything correct and kind of get them on a schedule. But now I think parents will realize more of how important routine really is, just to having to go through the day to day, getting your kids up on time, feeding them breakfast or getting their breakfast. That's important. You now have control of what they eat for lunch. So it's just like, what are you feeding them? Or if you're not choosing the school options, it's just a lot. So I don't know, like, what support or advice would you have for parents who are dealing with that overwhelm of taking on all these different hats?
Yes, use your village. And I know that, not everyone has a village. I totally understand that, but prayer and your
Right.
village, because I think naturally women, we just take it on, we just carry it. And so I think it's so important that when we're feeling the overwhelm, that we lean to our family members, our friends, our neighbors, because we have to have the mindset that we're in this together, because it is so challenging. And you have your whole neighborhood, if not the whole country, going through the same thing right now. In our district, over 70% of parents chose virtual learning. So the way our district is doing it right now is that parents will have the option to send their kids back September 8th, but most parents have not selected that option to send students back in person. So, even though this is hard, one thing that I do believe that makes struggles and challenges easier to get through is having other people to be able to, be your help, to be your sounding board, to pray with you. You can't take it on by yourself. And, maybe it's that, your girlfriend watches, her kids and your kids and gives you a break and you guys swap. You have to be creative and you have to use, your village and whoever that is for you, because I do it with my own child and my mom and my sister. I'm like, I need you guys to make a trip up here, let me just take my son for a little bit, and it's my only mental break, what I mean, most of the time. And so, yeah, you have to use your village, and most of the time they're happy to do it, so definitely lean is the best advice I would give, because it's definitely not something that we can run from. It's a lot of factors that we can't control right now. And, when I'm in situations like that, I pray. I pray, and I try to lean on other people in my life that can really, lift me up and support me and give me a break. I didn't even think about the meals. She brings up such a good point about now you're having to also, manage cooking and serving, and, gosh, that is a lot more on parents' plates, and it's something that I didn't even consider. Now, our district as well is providing the lunches, but you still got to go get it,
Yeah.
so there is a challenge in that too, going to get the meals and coming back, and so you're right, it's so challenging on parents right now. And I think it's even more eye-opening for me, because that's something that I didn't even, consider as being, a challenge, having to feed them throughout the day as well.
Yeah, it's a lot that we're not prepared for in taking on this. Of course, it seemed like the right thing to do to have our kids at home because of everything that's going on. But not really considering all that comes with that, and not really being supported in a way. Like, it's good that the district does supply meals that like you said, but we have to go get them, or I think they're putting buses en route to kind of drop them off in certain places, but we seem to forget the mental aspect of going through these types of things. So I haven't really heard anyone put out any resources or support in regards to that. And then you have to think there are students at home with special needs and, that type of thing. So it's just, does your district put out any type of mental health resources for your students?
Yeah, there's some mental health resources online that parents have access to, and a suggestion of activities. Our district has actually done a really good job of not overloading students with virtual expectations. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I just wanted to know, like, what were the expectations right now? And she was saying that they're doing increments so that the students can have multiple breaks throughout the day. So they're not on for hours and then they receive a break. They are doing 15 to 20 minutes and then they're taking a break, and then another 15 to 20 minutes and then they're taking a break. So I can tell that the district is mindful of that students need to have frequent breaks. And so I'm not sure if that's the same for you guys' school district, but I agree with you that there's not a lot of talk about how this is going to affect students mentally and socially, because it is going to have a large impact on them. What I personally think needs to happen is, I think that because students are learning virtually right now, and we know that in-person instruction is extremely valuable. It can't be matched, right? That's what we're being told, yes. And the studies show it, right? If that is the case, then we need to make sure the expectations match what's appropriate for virtual learning, right? So the issue that I see that's taking place is virtual learning has started, it's in motion, but yet there's been no change in the expectations, right? We shouldn't, me personally, I don't feel that we should be requiring a full day as they would have in person on a computer. It shouldn't even be happening. Changing those expectations, the hours should be less, and the amount of activities required should be less because of the way the instruction is taking place. Okay? So they're not really allowing enough time, in my opinion, for students to go on a bike ride, to go on a walk, to do that mental work that they need to do to be able to be successful virtually. And so I really think that that's only going to take place if we fight. Like, we have to fight. Like, if we don't say anything and we just go through the struggle of doing virtual learning for how long, because we don't even know how long it's going to be, right? I don't see much changing unless people say no, no more, right? And there's power in numbers. It can't be one or two moms shouting. It's going to have to be way more than that. But I do believe that, when it becomes too much is typically when, people start to speak up, is when it just becomes too much, And I hope that happens. I really do, because I don't think that the expectations that are being required across elementary, middle school, and high school is appropriate for virtual learning right now.
This is new to everyone, so I think that they're kind of just winging it as they go. What it seems as if their mindset was focused on transitioning school to the computer. Like, everything that went on during the school day, they wanted to keep with that same schedule as much as possible, and not really taking into consideration the difference, like the complete difference of the whole situation. Especially as it pertains to parents and the students. You have to factor the parents into the school day now. It's not just about the kids. And we try to give them, their time with their teachers, but I'm right there the entire time, making sure, what they're, if they're understanding what the teacher is saying, because they're communicating with the kids. Now, if they were in person, some of the things that they wouldn't even have to worry about. And I know, like, today during class, the kids couldn't see, what the teacher was trying to show. And she kept asking, can you see? They kept saying no. They kept saying, no, we can't see. Can you see now? No. So the kids are not, and this is fourth grade. So they're not in a place to really verbalize exactly, you know, what they need in a sense in certain situations. So I feel like I had to step in and say, you know, the camera is not close enough, because none of the kids could say that. They're just saying we can't see. And, you know, that's the type of thing that we have to really, you know, take into consideration. They try to keep parents separate from students when they were in the school. That's totally, you know, it's not going to work now. You know, I feel like we have to be there. We are our kids' advocates, even in those small little instances where, okay, we're trying to communicate so we can visually see what you're doing and get the work done. It's just like it's a lot. It's definitely a lot for the parents and the kids. I pray it gets better, and has a little bit, but like you said, we have to definitely come together in those numbers. I know we may vent to, you know, one another and talk about what we do and don't like, but we have to get those messages and feelings to the right people.
Yeah, and even if it's just, you know, all the moms coming together and emailing, you
Right.
know, I mean, that's at least some way to get your voice heard, that, you know, that parents are hurting and struggling and having a hard time with this, because I think that what we find often is that those that are putting forth the expectations are not the ones that are actually there having to put forth the work. And so they really are absent from what's really taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think another
So this,
thing that, my bad, Ish, but I think another thing is really understanding that the structure of what's going on needs to change completely.
mm-hmm.
Um, and like you said, Isha, like how everything is just, you know, trying to bring what they did in school back home, really just taking place and really allowing it to come full circle and say, like, you know what, this is going to have to change. And I guess kind of getting a feel for how people are, you know, uh, educating right now and seeing how what works, what doesn't work. But I think that a lot of it has to do with, you know, understanding that I don't think that you need the full hour anymore. Maybe. And I'm just going based off of what I understand and in what I'm seeing as far as like being a kind of on the outside looking in through other people. Um, but noticing that kids' attention span is not there. What they can do, some can do the work in 15 minutes, where the other kids it takes a little longer. And really just evaluating for that child individually. Just like a lot of these tutoring courses have specific schedules, so that way they can actually get the work done. I think it almost relates back to that. Give them a itinerary as to, you know, or a syllabus as to what needs to be done, what's expected of you, you know, when these are due, and then do the work. Because every
Yeah.
kid is not going to learn the same or have the same struggles. Whereas, you know, they can finish where they see fit and then speed through it kind of ordeal. But where does it really connect? Because now I'm thinking about testing time, you know, because now it's going to be all about the numbers and how uh, it's not so much, it's still going to be district related, but it's not going to be personal on that end either. So it's really just taking that into account. And I think that, yes, this is trial and error, but they're not, you know, unfortunately, we're kind of all the guinea pigs because no one has ever done this, except for the kids that have already been homeschooling and they already know what they're doing. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, now it's kind of taking from them, getting a feel for what, okay, how did it work for you? And now passing that information along to the next, all the rest of the parents. Really understanding that process that, you know, I don't even know how many hours, 8 to 3 or 8 to 2 schedule is not going to be accommodating every child,
No.
you know.
Or the
I really
parent.
think that, or the parent, because we have to work, we still have to put food on the table, we still have to buy the food, you know, or
Mhm.
get the food, and that requires still working, you know, and getting that getting that all together. So yes, I think that scheduling, routine, still needs to be put in place. And on top of that, I think that meditation is definitely something that also needs to be included with that, with the prayer. You know, if you're going to take the Pledge of Allegiance, why not give a 15-minute
I
mantra
agree.
Right.
and kind of get that up and going? So that way it's like, okay, I'm at ease no matter what life throws at me. And it's really teaching it now, really understanding it now, and really getting into a habit. Breaking all the other habits, because those don't break in, well, those should have already been broken, but really getting into a new habit, into a new field, into a new mindset that this is where we're going now. And you never know, schools may not fill up the same way after this is all over. You never know how, parents are going to be, and not just women, men out there as well, because there are some dedicated men out there that are doing the work to make sure that their children are getting what they need to. Is what are you, kind of bringing it back to Isha and how what she mentioned is what you're learning at home. It's what you're learning initially from your parents that's going to transfer over into what it is that you're going to need for the real world. So I think a lot of that has into play, and everybody's kind of like on this. This didn't work and that didn't work. But yes, people do need to speak up, and now is the time to use that voice to
Right.
translate that message along and kind of get that up and moving in the right direction.
I agree.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been a much needed discussion. I know,
Yeah.
during this time this is my son's first week. So students are, getting up and rolling in the virtual learning, and parents are experiencing what it's going to be like. So hopefully this helped someone in some way. Nyesha, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Very welcome.
I saw your Instagram, which is so well put together. Harper is so
Thank
cute.
you. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So we have your Instagram here. Are there any other ways that our viewers can keep in contact with you?
Instagram is the best way. My blog is going to be debuting in just a few weeks, and I'll be putting that out on Instagram and Facebook. And so if they follow me, they'll be able to reach me there, and they'll be able to get a lot of virtual teaching tips. So.
That's great.
That is so good. So guys, definitely follow Miss Nyesha on Instagram and keep up with her blog, because she has shared some great information with us today. Now we will move on to our next segment with Miss Tanisha Ramsey Lane. You ready, Miss Tanisha?
Yes, I'm ready. So you
All right,
guys,
breaking through barriers.
breaking through barriers. Okay, so the topic today I picked was depression, because there's so much going on today, and it's like, what am I going to do? Some people can't even take too much weight on their shoulders, so they're like, okay, how am I gonna deal with this, with the job, with the kids, with the school? So I picked depression because a lot of people have depression, but they don't say nothing. They hold it in, because I was guilty. I was one of them, showing the the stronger me and not showing the vulnerable me. So breaking through barriers, I put the goal is the depression is to become more manageable over time and with continued work for sustaining recovery to be achieved. So the trick to making your goals manageable, so you don't set yourself up for failure. In this case, not meeting your goals tends to make you depressed worse. May have you have depression worse. May I repeat myself? So there's a few tips that I wrote down that we can continue to take in for ourselves to do, not only to better our thoughts and our goals, but also maybe for the kids as well. And that was, write your goals down. If you keep your goals in your head, you will be overwhelmed. Writing them down helps. It holds you more accountable. It also gives you a to-do list. So at the same time, we're writing our goals down, at least we have a list now we can go by, to-do list. So number 2 was, don't set too many goals. It's good to stick with 3 or 5 goals daily. So don't overdo it, because we got some of us, we go get us. We ready to run off. We'll write a whole bunch of goals down, and we'll try to conquer each and every one of them in one day. So I feel like if we monitor through the week and set 3 to 5 goals a day. I think that's achievable. You won't be too overstressed. You won't be depressed, and you can manage. So number 3 was make your goals realistic. Don't do some goals that you know you're not going to do and you're not going to get it done. They're going to make you more frustrated, and that's more depression on you. So we're not going to do that. We're going to X that out. That's too much overwhelming. So don't set a goal that you know you will not achieve. Number 4, take into account how bad your depression is that day. So maybe if you're really depressed and you're frustrated, taking a bath with a candle or a hot shower to release some stress, like let's say meditate. Meditate is starting to be more people are starting to meditate, do yoga, something to relax your mind, breathe. You can do your breathing exercise because our heart tends to beat faster when we're overstressed and we're stressed out and depressed. So just relax and release. That's one of them. So number 5 was having accountability. Your depression takes away most of your motivation. So having some sort of accountability is very important. So number 6 was set diverse goals. Don't focus on all goals on one area. Pick different areas. Don't stay in one area too long. Like sort them out. Pick one here, pick one there. It can be small or big, but just stay focused in one area at a time. So these are some questions that I picked after I said diverse. So think about it. What can you increase positivity emotions? How can we increase positive emotions? What can you do to help build a sense of maturity? What can we do? How can we think? How can we think some things? Write them out and just look at it, make it plain. Like I say, write out, make it plain, write out and make it plain. And the last question I had to set diverse goals was make sure that at least one of your goals involves some form of self-care. We just talked about that. Self-care is a plus. Make sure self-care is somewhere in there. So number 7 is don't wait until you feel better. Just do it. So with depression, I found that you'll never feel like doing anything. So if you wait to do your goals, it'll never get done. If we wait and say, okay, I'm going to wait till after depression is over, we're never going to do them. We just look at, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it never get done because we're overthinking. Stop overthinking. So number 8 was be compassionate with yourself. Achieve every goal you set. So whatever you achieve for that day, just make sure you conquer that goal that day. Start off small, then start off big. Don't start off big, then small. Start off something small. Maybe it can be, okay, I'm going to read a book for 30 minutes. To gain more knowledge and wisdom in my mindset so I can be more focused on my goals, what I want in life. So that had came up. And then it's like, discover the wisdom and the strength in the Word of God to help you overcome depression. So I picked 3 scriptures so we can go out with a bang with the first barrier segment. I thought Psalms 9 and 9, verse 9 was, the Lord is my refuge for oppressed and stronghold in the times of trouble. Psalms 23 and 4, we all know this one. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. We know that from Psalms 23. We all learned that. And I'm so happy that they put that in the school. Like the kids is really going to focus on more like, okay, I can do this. Because you got a scripture that gives you detail from detail. So in their mind, they like, okay, I'm feeling frustrated. I don't know if I could do this to the enemy. People always say, okay, don't talk about the devil or the enemy. It's not that. It's reality. Let's be real. No, we don't want to claim that all the time, but it's reality. We are dealing with something serious in the world today. It's a disease out here that's called corona. Let's be for real. It's really a bacteria, but they made it into a disease. So think about it. It's not only we have to worry about the outside, but it's the spiritual mindset as well too. Yeah. What you let into your spiritual mindset? Are you letting the enemy control your mindset? This is how we have to teach our kids as well, like how to fight the enemy, because they can be positive when they get on. That one little student or that one thing that happened can knock it off balance, and then they all focus. So just keep them focused. And the last one I had was Psalms 30, verse 5, and it says, "For his anger lasts only a minute, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." And that's what my closeout for Breaking of the Bears for depression, you guys. Hope you enjoyed.
That was so good. Thank you, Tanisha.
You're welcome.
That was so good. And I know that was going to help someone. I have to go back and rewatch and write some things down that you said. I know we sticking to the list thing, so that's good.
Yeah.
But this has been right. This has been yet another amazing show. So we are going to close out, but if any of you guys want to be a guest on our show, please email us at vtws@vosint.com and let us know of your interests. And do you ladies have any closing words for us?
I'll go first. I really want you guys, or hope that you guys have gained so much knowledge just based off of Nyesha being on the show today, and really were able to pick up a lot of key things. I think the biggest thing I picked up on was just being able to be there for your child. I mean, to bring it like everything full circle, it starts at home. Yeah, it starts at home. Think about what Tanisha also said as far as, grade your levels of grade your levels and not just depression, but of your stress for the day. Okay, grade it. How big is it? I think mine today was at a C. Okay, because I could have done way better to manage it and also not let it consume me the way that I thought I did. So it's really just taking into account what's going on, how you can kind of decipher how you could take a 5-minute or breather, or even if you were going to sip some tea or coffee or whatever is your guilty pleasure for that moment. Okay, so make sure to just breathe and remember actively breathing, because you kind of take it for granted. So it's really just being able to that breath in 5 seconds, release it nice and slow 5 seconds, and just understand that we're all going through it, but reach out to your village. Reach out. Okay, don't consume it alone. Reach out to whoever it is that you need to reach out to, and call, email, text, whatever. Okay, that's all I
got. Mine would be keep your faith. Just keep your faith. Not only that, worship with your kids. Like say prayer and worship with them. That's a big plus. That's some things most parents don't do. And I even started doing it more. And you'll be surprised how much our kids really know when it comes to keeping the worship and the praise. They see what's going on. Just keep your faith and keep your family close and pray with your family and your kids. Make it a personal thing. Make it a family thing. It's needed. That's my going out.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good tip, Tanisha. And I would just like to reiterate, it's just like keep a routine going. I know it's difficult trying to adjust to everything, that's new and the frustrations of it all. But if you can have a routine with yourself and your children that you do every morning and include prayer in that routine, and just like even Liz was saying, like take deep breaths, really, we do take that for granted sometimes, but it does help to really just take a time out and breathe and just know, because I know I had some trying times this week just dealing with everything and trying to adjust with it. But definitely developing a routine will definitely help you gain some type of peace in the midst of all this chaos. So yeah, that is all that we have for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed the show, and we will be back next week with our He Said, She Said, They Share segment, which is one of our favorites here on the show. You don't want to miss that one. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.